All right, I'm back. Sorry. I know things blew up. What happened the week of the third episode of What If? Power outage, and then the following week, I think I was... something happened the following week, and then last week I was sick. So we've had a lot that's been going on, and that's why YouTube has kind of fallen by the wayside. But we are back with a review of the last 3 What If episodes. Let's start with the third one, which was my favorite episode of the entire season. That was the Assassins episode.
I thought that was a well done episode. I liked how they came up with different ways for, by the way, this is all spoilers, different ways for the Avengers to be destroyed. And to be honest, if you know the history of Hank Pym, spoilers, he was the culprit. He would, you could construct a story.
Hang on. We need to break down what the story was about. Basically, the premise of the third episode of What If was, what if the Avengers never assembled, basically. And so Tony Stark is assassinated in the beginning, and people are blaming Black Widow because she was the one who injected him in Iron Man 2, and that's how he dies, but she never, obviously it wasn't her, and so she's trying to figure out who it was, so she's on the run, and then Hawkeye unwittingly assassinates Thor when Thor tries to get his hammer in the first Thor movie, and Hawkeye is also subsequently assassinated after he's accused of assassinating Thor. And then Black Widow finds Betty Ross, which was great because
the Incredible Hulk is canon.
The Incredible Hulk is canon. We actually got to see Betty Ross, who's his real girlfriend, not Black Widow.
There was none of that in the show.
There was none of that in the show. Anyway, so much retconning there. It made me happy. Anyway, so she finds them, and she's trying to get the Hulk out of there, and the Hulk gets assassinated. And I thought it was really interesting how they actually killed him, because he's virtually impossible to kill. So, and then ultimately Black Widow finds the answer and then is assassinated. And so she leaves a message on Nick Fury's phone, and then he has to figure out who the actual assassin is, and it ends up being Hank Pym.
And like I said, I thought that was good, because I'm like, well, if anyone can figure out a scientific way to take down the Avengers, then it's probably Hank Pym. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a good mystery. And
Hank Pym was Yellow Jacket as opposed to Ant-Man.
Yeah, and I like the different, how it basically showed how those 3 movies, which were set around the same time, collided. Mm-hmm. My favorite part of it was I liked Loki. Mm-hmm. Like, he was back in character. He immediately decides to find an excuse to invade Earth.
Yes.
And we get that. And my favorite part was at the ending, where you see Captain America, and Captain Marvel, still alive and kicking, still ready to help save the world. The only thing I didn't like is I just don't like it when they make Hank Pym the psychopath.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing.
I didn't mind that in this instance, because I have watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and it happens in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't like that it happens in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but it's not like they just were trying to hate on the old white guy. It's actually a plot point in previous cartoons. So I wasn't completely bothered by that, although it is kind of like, I didn't mind it. I was okay with it. This is supposed to be a what if. It's not supposed to be my favorite fantasy of all time or whatever.
Yeah, and I loved it when the bait and switch of Loki disguises himself as Nick Fury. Mm-hmm. Like, that surprised me.
Yeah. So let's move on to the 4th episode.
I want to just do an overall premise of what I think about it. I thought that this is the darkest episode of the series, and it's not for everybody. Yeah. But I thought it was, a lot of people probably will not like the episode, but I thought it was the best written.
I agree. I don't personally like the episode, but I think it was the best written. I thought it had a really good message at the ending, which was nice. And I thought that just the creativity of, it's just interesting, because Doctor Strange, the premise of the episode is Doctor Strange trying to bring back his girlfriend, essentially.
It's called, I like the title, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands? So we get an alternate universe where Christine is essentially in a car with him, wherein he gets into his big accident and she dies, and so that is what spurs his journey, and that creates kind of this dark desire in him, because they mentioned and it's a callback to the actual movie that I really liked, that he has the problem where he feels like he needs to fix everything and always have control, and he doesn't have control in this situation because he discovers this is a fixed point in time.
Yeah, and so every time he tries to change reality, or he goes back with the time stone, he can't fix it.
And that
even to the point where he tries to put himself in the side of the car that gets smashed and put her in the driver's seat instead of him, and he still survives and she still dies.
I like that because this version, and they work it out that I think they did this to try to soften it a little bit, that the Ancient One had to separate a good and a bad side of Doctor Strange to try to save the world or whatever. Yeah. But so the dark side of him, who needs to fix everything and just can't let go, is out there, and he consumes.
Basically, just kind of fast forwarding. So Doctor Strange goes bad, basically, is in summary, and then he fights his good self and destroys his good self, and then ultimately he still can't save Christine, because he destroys the universe in the process of trying to save Christine. And so he's trapped in this, like, I don't know, glowy globe at the end. And so I was kind of excited about that, because now we've got this glowy globe evil Doctor Strange just floating out there in the multiverse for reasons.
Yeah.
Where
he absorbed the good Doctor Strange, so that might be a thing where now he's able to be redeemed somehow, because he absorbed
I don't know how.
But I was just shocked, because like Marvel, ever since it got absorbed by Disney, they never do cautionary tales. They never do dark endings. They never do stuff like that.
They don't really do a lot of, like, even morality tales.
Yeah, and this was that it.
And this one, he, like, bad Doctor Strange really gets slapped upside the head at the end of the
and it
thing,
was like
with a guy actually telling him what you did was wrong.
Yeah,
and we don't usually get that. We usually get the, oh, my feelings. Oh, but I just and with villains too. Hang on, with villains too, it's always about, oh, well, you know, they had a rough childhood, or their mom died when they were young, and this and this. And I liked it that there was actually like a black and white. You crossed a line, and you are now suffering the consequences for it with what you did. Anyway, let's wrap this one up quick, because we got a third one.
Wanted to say, and you made me forget what I wanted to say that was very important, and I need to remember what it was, but I can't at this time. People were worried that in What If it was just going to be, Captain America didn't become Captain America, but everything was fine because Peggy took over, and T'Challa goes into space and fixes all the problems in the universe. They were worried it was going to be just, everything's fine, everything all works out in the end, and then this one,
turned that upside down. And we thought the Assassins one was dark.
I want to talk about this next one because I think it's the worst one.
I agree.
This one was Marvel Zombies. And for those of you who don't know, Marvel Zombies is this big storyline that's actually, people are telling me, is actually really good in the comics. And it has a lot of depth to it, like the Doctor Strange episode, even though it's dark. But so they had to do a Marvel Zombies What If, and I just think it's terrible. I thought the tone was all over the place. I thought that the story was a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
There's part of it. So it makes no sense, because it's like, so the premise is that when they tried to save Janet Van Dyne, she had a virus that brought in the zombies. So it's like set during Infinity War. And I'm like, so you've got Thanos coming, but all of a sudden they forget that and they're like, no, this is zombies now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so characters get, it's like all these like A-list characters are dying, but no one really seems to care. They're just making jokes. Like, Okoye murders Sam, who became a zombie, and Bucky makes a joke. And I know it's supposed to be a joke that Bucky and Sam don't like each other, but I'm like, well, he's not going to joke about Sam's death right in front of him.
Yeah.
And, I know that it's supposed to be a theme in the episode that, like, Spider-Man tries to stay positive, but he still should not be happy and vlogging about the zombie apocalypse when his aunt, uncle, Tony Stark, and everyone he cares about has just died.
Yeah.
They want to have the... I know this because I don't know if Kelly experienced this. I experienced this in high school. High schoolers were obsessed with the idea of the zombie apocalypse and how would I survive.
Yeah.
So they tried to make a meta joke about that there, and I'm like, but it doesn't work with the context of the story.
It wasn't as big of a thing when I was in high school, but it's I understand it's kind of a fad.
Yeah, and it happened. Also, the episode, I'll just use this as an example of all over the place. So
we had low-rise jeans when I was in high school.
Really dark 1 minute, really somber, but trying to be optimistic the next minute, comedy. And like with Ant-Man, everything about Scott Lang in this was like, subversion, comedy, when they're talking about how Vision, and I did not buy that Vision would do this, that he was feeding people to zombified Scarlet Witch.
Yeah,
I don't,
that too was
as much
weird.
as Vision is kind of like clinging on Wanda, I do not believe that he would do that. And also
he would have to have been controlled by
yeah,
Wanda.
I would have liked that better. Like a zombified Wanda is controlling Vision, but and then he
they didn't do that.
He changes his mind 5 seconds later. Oh, I'm sorry, I was a bad boy. I'll change it now.
What was that about?
And so then they
the
try
integrity of the characters just wasn't there. I do agree with you that the writing is just not there on this one, and it's almost like they were just checking a box.
And the ending was really bad because it's like, no, optimism, they're going to save people. Oh, but zombified Thanos is going to destroy everything. So it's like, so dark ending now? Like, it was so all over the place.
They couldn't decide what they wanted to do.
I feel like someone said you have to do a Marvel Zombies episode, and they didn't know what to do. And so they just kind of, they put a bunch of sticky notes on the wall and like threw darts and figured out what would happen.
Yeah, I agree. I came away from that episode pretty unsatisfied. I mean, I guess I was just partially relieved that it wasn't so dark as the episode before. But also I was just kind of like, I just didn't like. It wasn't an episode I was going to be interested in, regardless, because I just don't like. I'm not into zombies. It's not. I don't find them scary. I also don't find them interesting. I don't find anything appealing about it.
So next week's episode is Tony Stark is saved by Killmonger, and there's a Killmonger story. I don't know what they're doing with that, and I don't see how that could be good. I don't have high hopes for this next episode.
Yeah, here's the unfortunate thing about all of this, about the zombie episode. We had 4 episodes that, regardless of whether you like them or not, they were some of the best writing I've seen from Marvel in a long, long time. Then this zombie one, kind of hit the note of typical. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it was that bad, but also it just kind of, what's happened with Disney is they're lazy with their writing, and they come up with concepts that are mildly interesting, or they, it might have some substance to it, and then they just kind of like, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even try. And that's what that zombie episode felt like, and it worries me that there are more episodes like that.
Yeah, I think that the show is overall a little hit or miss. So yeah, that's my thoughts, like, going forward with this. We have like 4 episodes left, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would even suggest that the second episode wasn't nearly as strong as some of the others that we've seen.
Well, here's another thing where I say
it wasn't
kind
bad,
of the entire show is kind of a hodgepodge hit or miss. Is like with number 2, a lot of people hated that because they were like, why is it T'Challa goes into space and everything's perfect and Thanos is like a good guy? And I'm like, well, if I'm not taking this seriously, I'm fine. Like, it's just fun.
Right.
But it's like one episode is don't take anything seriously, we're just having fun. And then a couple episodes later, it's take this very seriously. This is a very deep, harsh lesson.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The T'Challa one, to be fair, I honestly feel like they wanted, in their attempt to pay homage, whatever, to Chadwick Boseman, they unfortunately, in many ways, have deified him as a person, kind of like they did with Obama.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like everything he touches must turn to gold. Everything is perfect. Like, everything about him, the ocean, this is what they said when Obama was elected. The oceans will cease to rise and he will part the sea, and I'm not making this up. They literally, for those of you who are younger and don't remember this, they literally said this about Obama. And that's unfortunately the feel that I get when it comes to Chadwick Boseman. Somehow he was this Saint Boseman, and he can do no wrong. And that's the kind of the vibe I got from that episode. It was so, like, nothing that he did was ever wrong or incorrect, unlike any other character you might see, and so that's frustrating to me. So overall, where do we think What If is going? Is it headed in a good or a bad direction?
I think, like I said, anyone can say hit or miss. Like you say, Disney is very lazy with the writing, and I think that in the future we could get another one like the Doctor Strange episode. We could get another one like the Marvel Zombies. We could get something worse than that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it almost feels like throwing darts at the wall.
Yeah, and I feel like we've hit more good than bad so far. But
part of the good thing about it is not like Loki, where you're in a bad show and it stays bad and there's no escape.
And it
it's
just
the same
gets
story.
worse and worse.
It's like, well, you have one story and then it's done and you move on to the next one. So.
Yeah. So that is a help for sure, because we don't have to worry, oh, we have to stick with this other one that we weren't really happy with or whatever. So I'm happy that we've got another episode coming up. I'm going to make sure this video gets up tomorrow, because otherwise, we'll have another episode that we have to cover. But thank you guys for watching. I again apologize for going dark for so long. There's just unforeseen things that have come up that have delayed things. But anyway, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to get notifications, and comment below what you guys thought, which is your best episode, whatever you want to say. And I will talk to you guys on the next video.